All right, good evening. Welcome everyone to the September meeting of the McCandless Environmental Advisory Committee. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is welcome to our new member, Jeff Petro.
Judy.
Welcome, Jeff. Yay, I know we've got
Glad to be here. Thank you.
we've got a full contingent now, so that's pretty exciting. Really happy to have you. Generally what we do is we'll do a very quick introduction. I know you know Dave. I'm not sure how many of these folks you know, but we'll just kind of go down the list very briefly, just say how long we've been on committee, what our major topics of our projects and what our main focus is as a member of the committee.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. And I'll go ahead and start. I know we've met virtually. And I think we've met on the trails at some point too. I'm Judy Bishop. Obviously, I've been on the committee for about 3 years. And the main projects I've been working on, I've worked on a landscape planting guide, helped facilitate some speaker series, and been doing chairman type things.
Dave Minard, I'm the current vice chair. Judy is the chair of the committee. I'm the vice chair right now. One of the original members of the EAC along with Ken. So this is starting my 7th year on the committee. As you know, been involved in the litter program for about the past 5 or 6 years. My background is water, wastewater engineering, combined sewer overflows, that kind of thing, civil engineering. So that's good enough. We know each other pretty well.
Yeah, so I'm Tony Kurzman. Nice to meet you. I've been on the committee for about a year. I'm a professor at Pitt, so mechanical engineering background and mostly renewable energy efficiency type background. So anyway, I've been working with McCandless on, we've had some student projects, I guess, some student coordination, actually 2 major projects with that. And then speaker series, I've been helping Judy. And then I've been focusing on trying to get solar adopted here in McCandless and in the surrounding community. Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead.
We can go to you,
Okay.
Jack, since you're here.
I'm Jack. I'm the Jack Casey. I'm the liaison for the town council. So I really don't have a voice other than I help. I don't have a vote, but I have heart and I have a strong will and a strong back. And I'm more than willing to help these people any way I can. I've helped on the cleanup committee and they do an amazing job of cleaning our town up. I think we've got the cleanest town in 100 miles. I mean, you never see litter anymore unless you're out in the ground looking for it. And then you find a lot of it, but they're very good and very Johnny on the spot at cleaning things up. I helped with the rain garden here last 3 weeks, and I'm real proud of our performance, but we have a long ways to go to get that to where it really needs to be. And by the way, I did talk to Jeff at DPW about that blowout. One of the sides is blown out.
Oh,
you
really?
don't really know that until you start getting there working. But proud to be on this committee. These people work really super hard and they really care. Proud of them. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks. Dawn?
I sort of know you, Jeff. So, I was one of the original litter getters. I still help out with the litter committee a little bit, but so far my focus on the EAC has been about green space development and then the rain garden restoration program. Something you might not know about me, and I don't talk about too much, but I'm a watershed steward for Penn State, and I'm still involved with that. And I do monthly water testing with them. And sometimes we do macro collections and things like that, which is real fun. And I've been on the EAC since October will be my 1-year anniversary. So still sort of figuring it out and getting my feet wet.
Sure looks like it.
Is that a water pun?
Just can't help them. So.
All right, Matt, you're up.
Hi there, I'm Matt Hartman. I am even newer than Don. I've only been here since January. So also still trying to figure everything out, but my background is in STEM education. So I've been trying to get us sort of connected and working with the school districts or with NA specifically to kind of partner with them and start getting some environmental education out there for the students as well as for the rest of the community. So it hasn't been going super well so far, but we're working on it and seeing what we can do. But welcome, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And the only member we're missing tonight is Ken Alshouse. And he's been real active with Green Space, Wall Park Trail, and also working deer management with the town. And I believe that's Eric that you're pointing to there.
Yes.
He's here first as a speaker tonight.
Okay, oh, wonderful.
And John, you can introduce yourself as well.
No, we know each other.
We do, John.
Okay,
Yeah.
John Bajarski, a public information officer, and I also help out with the EAC. Been here since 2016, and prior to that, I was a newspaper reporter for about 7 years. That's pretty much it.
all right,
Mhm.
thanks.
And for 2 seconds, so I raised 4 children in Penn Trafford. I originally grew up in the city in Carrick, but came from Penn Trafford. The last one 10 years ago went away to college, and we hightailed it out here. Better commute to work, but certainly a greater and more robust lifestyle. Seeing other states and having the activities of hiking and biking and all that kind of stuff. North Park was that was the place to be for me. So did that recently, as you know. Recently retired from 35-year career with Federated Investors, managed their trading department for all of those years. So sort of turned in that conservative role to more of a passion of environmental issues. Like Jack, strong will, strong spirit, a lot of passion. Not quite the back that he has. My back just does not support these things anymore. But I have all the other things.
Right,
But thank you for welcoming me, everybody. Appreciate that.
and thanks. We're so happy you're here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Mhm.
All right, on to the next item on the agenda is our annual nomination and election of chair and vice chair for the next year. So what I'll do first is I'll call for nominees for chair of the committee.
I nominate Judy.
I'll second that.
You're stuck.
Is there a third? Can I third that?
Okay.
I'll fourth it.
Do we have any others tonight? Okay, and I'm willing to accept the nomination,
Don't sound so excited, Judy.
which I'll give you another year to think about taking it over next year, but all right, then I guess we'll put it up for a vote. All in favor of
I'm
me
not
for
allowed
anyway.
to say aye, but I'm saying
Yeah.
aye.
Aye.
anyway.
Another year of chair, raise your hand. Nay. Okay, well, thank you for your confidence. Appreciate it, and thank you for all your help. I feel like I just kind of do some management stuff. You guys do most of the work. A lot of hard work, so you help me tremendously. Okay, next is nominations for vice chair. Do we have any nominations?
I was going to nominate Dave, although I didn't extend a courtesy to him to ask him if he wanted to still serve in this
Well, I
capacity.
second because I have asked him.
Okay.
Okay, great. So yeah, you're nominated, Dave.
I didn't want to nominate him and start off on the wrong foot already. Since he sort of sponsored me into this.
I'll do it.
The vice chair job is not as, the word you just used, robust as the chairman's,
Mhm.
chairperson's job, so, yeah, I'm fine with it as long as no one else wants to, fight over it.
And do we have any other nominations? Okay, let's put it to a vote. All in favor of Dave for vice chair for another year, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, that was quick and easy, guys. Thank you, I guess.
Congratulations.
I
Thank
didn't
you
get a
for your
round of
confidence.
That's-
It was unanimous.
That's right.
It was anonymous.
Okay, I'll move on to approval of the minutes from August. Any questions, comments, additions to the minutes? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. All right,
Am I supposed to vote or not? No,
I don't think so.
okay.
So I just look your way
But my-
because I'm
Yeah.
everybody. Okay, we actually went through that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. First project update, we've got a presentation tonight. Tony, I'll let you go ahead and do the introductions.
Yeah, so I reached out to the PA Solar Center after learning about the Get Solar Communities project. So Eric Robb, did I pronounce that correctly? Is
People usually don't, yeah.
so he's joining us today from Get Solar project. Get Solar Communities. And so the idea here is basically PA Solar Center works with community volunteer, what they call solar ambassadors. And the goal is to recruit businesses, nonprofits, schools, municipalities in the area to consider solar. And they have a Get Solar program, which is, so I know it's kind of confusing. There's a Get Solar and a Get Solar Communities, right? Communities program is more of a volunteers to go out and talk to community members, different businesses and nonprofits. And then the Get Solar program is where you actually can apply if you were interested in possibly getting solar put on your building. And through that Get Solar program, the PA Solar Center basically sends out a request for proposal to a bunch of different solar installers, and you get to review, and PA Solar Center will help you look through each proposal and see, and it depends on if cost is most important, or quality of panels, or all the different aspects of these proposals. So they help you to determine whether you think that's a good choice.
And it doesn't include residents, right?
Well, the Get Solar program, does that include residents? Actually, that's a good question.
It does not. No.
Okay, so maybe I'll stop talking and I'll let Eric go,
I was gonna say,
because
what-
I don't want to say the wrong things.
What do
Yeah.
you have here for, Tony? You're giving a presentation for me.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
But,
Jumping the gun.
no, Thank you for inviting me. You all seem like a very fun group. I've talked to a number of EACs, and they're much less animated than you all are. I'm not going to name who they are, but because I still have to work with them. But I'm glad to present about this. So I actually work with Connect, and I'll share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. I'm not sure what size screen you guys have here, but I made a quick slide presentation so you can see this in front of you as I talk about it, because it's just easier. But I work at Connect, so I'm not sure how many of you have heard of Connect, but it is the Congress of Neighboring Communities, basically a membership organization that help provide capacity and support to local governments. That's who the members are. McCandless is not currently a member. I believe you all were at one point, but you can do trial periods, and that's a separate conversation. But I often reach out outside of our membership boundaries and talk to members talk to municipalities that are not members about some of the public policy issues that we work on. And so that's what we do, is we work on these different shared public policy issues. You can see a couple of them listed over here. We work on with volunteer fire, law enforcement, but my forte, what I manage as a project manager here at Connect is climate action planning. But within that umbrella, it's a lot of different projects, and that includes solar. But we provide support and capacity on those different projects to member municipalities that need them or want someone to present and talk about it, or help them through the process of doing that. And so that's where the Get Solar program comes into play. Underneath that,
You can hear it barely.
Eric, would you mind, is it possible to just speak up a little bit where we can
Yeah.
barely hear you on our side? Yep.
like, how badly can you barely hear me?
Yeah, I mean, if you could just speak up a little, I think. we'd be
Okay,
fine.
I'm wondering if there might be a problem with my microphone, but can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What part did you miss me at, or was that the whole thing?
No, we,
You're
Caught
good.
it. We
we
caught it.
could hear
Okay.
you, just, it would help if it was a little bit louder.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. I think my mic is having an issue today. Someone else said that on a meeting, but I didn't fix it. I'm sorry. Okay, so within the Connect Climate Action Plan project that I help, manage, we have a number of different projects and partnerships that we're working on, and one of those things is Get Solar Communities program. I'm just going to gloss over this slide. This is for something else, but like Tony said, the purpose is to encourage and to assist the local government's business community, nonprofits, even commercial plots of land within that municipal boundary. So in this case, McCandless, to explore and install solar systems on either rooftops or ground mounted systems. So they released this opportunity in I believe it was in July. And they've been trying to push this out to a bunch of different communities. The deadline was actually had already passed, but they're squeezing an application, so that's probably why I'm here tonight. But they did this last year, so there was a pilot program last year where they worked with a couple of our communities, and it was very successful. It had a couple rural communities in it, and then a couple urban communities that are members of Connect here. And what came out of that was 21 different projects in those communities where businesses and plots of land decided to install solar. And so that was very successful. They decided to do a second round of it, and that's what this round is. That the application period just opened up. I've been pushing this out to a bunch of our communities. We have 40 members within Connect. McCandless isn't a member, but somehow I guess you still got onto that list. And then Tony had emailed me and had asked some questions about it. But yeah, no, it's great to talk about this here. And so, I just have all these things listed here, things that you guys would need. But the deadline ended on the 12th, which is this week, 2 days ago. But I talked to the director and he said that he can squeeze in some last minute applications. The applicants are something like an environmental advisory committee. The applicants could be like a community development corporation. It could be the local government itself. It could even be a volunteer team within the boundaries of the local government. It really doesn't matter. But you just submit an application. I can talk about each of these things, but just so you know, to be clear, there is still time, even though on the website it does not say that. He actually just, don't tell him I said this, but he actually emailed me yesterday saying he's going to be on vacation like next week. So there's actually more time than even a couple of days from now. So if you guys are interested, get an application in, and I guarantee you that you will most likely get it because he's looking for communities that have a strong showing for this sort of thing. And it seems like McCandless might be that. But what you need for that application, and you can ask any questions on these things, but all you got to do is designate or name a group of people. So that could be the EAC itself. It could be a group of volunteers within your community that are active in the community. You just name that group, name the members, and sort of name why they're the members. And then name the geographic area. I think you all are above, what's your population?
29,000.
Yeah, okay. So anybody above 20,000 has to sort of name a specific geographic area where it would probably make sense for most of the outreach to happen. So that's something that you guys would have to do. You need a local business letter of support. It's optional. And there's actually a template for that on that website up there. A letter of support from your government or from like the EAC, for example. Again, optional, but highly encouraged. And then you just submit all those in a PDF, and there's instructions on that site where you just email that to the director. His name's Leo Kowalski at pasolarcenter.org. And that's pretty much it. But over here on can you guys see the details on this picture with the size of your screen or not?
Yes.
Okay, you can. All right, so yeah, I mean, Tony sort of already went through it. An applying organization will apply, and that applying organization's main function is to serve as that sort of that community ambassador team, or that volunteer solar community ambassador team. And all you really do is use a toolkit that Solar Center gives you to help you reach your businesses and residents. And then from that outreach, those interested community or those interested businesses, nonprofits, folks will then work directly with the solar center. They'll go through a process and Leo will help them all individually. The short of it really is that it's very difficult for, and I'm sure maybe you all know this, but it's difficult for individual businesses to do this by themselves. It's difficult for residents to do this by themselves. There's a lot of different steps. It's scary at each step, and there's a lot of decisions that go into this. But when there's an organization that is literally coming to your doorstep and saying, "Hey, we'll help you with this," essentially for free. Of course, the community or the organization doesn't have to go through with the purchase of solar, right? If it doesn't make sense for them. But if it does, then it really helps them streamline the whole process and gets them, further forward on that. So it's a really great program, and it targets the business community, which has not happened yet. Here in Allegheny County, it hasn't happened in Pennsylvania. This is a new thing that is specifically targeted towards businesses, economic development, right, in your community. So it's a win-win. It's really there's certainly not a bad thing for the applicant organization that decides to do outreach for this. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything, the steps or what you need to do to apply, my email is, I believe it's on this slide right here, but Tony has my email. But you can ask questions now. And I wanted to make this short and sweet so that you all could ask questions.
Eric, if I can real quick, just kind of continue with that. Some of the, they're essentially acting as a free consulting arm, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty valuable, especially
Free.
a lot of people, I would say a lot of people are not experts in solar, right? And so you can imagine there's businesses that might be interested, but might not know the financial aspects, or maybe they don't know what a good deal is, or maybe they don't know what a tier 1 solar panel is and what the warranty is on that, right? And so you can imagine, as if you don't know that information, you might shy away right off the bat. They also give very honest consultation. And if you have an old roof, they're not going to say put solar panels on it right now. So I think it's I don't know if you want to say an honest third-party consultation that's free, basically.
Yeah,
Eric, oh, sorry, go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
I was just going to say, it's not only, essentially free for the things that you just mentioned, but also like just a lot of organizations don't even know the solar potential of their roof in the first place, right? So they do site assessments to see, okay, how much energy are you going to be generating? What size of system might you be able to put on your business? How much money might you be able to save, from that? That's all really, really good information for a local business to know, and you get it for free. So, and it is really an honest third party because they're not the ones that are directly selling you this. And it's a good deal, put it that way.
So the latest package that was signed through Congress, I had a lot of green initiatives in it. Was solar, were there additional tax credits that could be used or that businesses wouldn't know about that you talk about? Is that something you could advise on?
Yeah, so as a part of this process, so say you apply as the EAC or somebody from McCandless applies, you reach out to 10 businesses, those 10 businesses hear about the ability to get a free site assessment. They get all that stuff done with Solar Center. Solar Center will walk through different financing options with them. And that includes rebates that are now available through IRA. I was on a webinar just the other day, and it is shocking. It made financial sense before to go solar. It is now, you're missing out if you do not. Depending on whether like the materials that you use to buy, the materials that you use for the installation, depending on whether like what geographic area you're in, as far as demographics go, and a number of other factors, you can have anywhere from 30 to 60% off the cost of the installation, period, because the government is paying for that through those funds. And Solar Center will help you use those, yes. So it's...
Jeff, if I can address your question a little bit, the Inflation Reduction Act
Thank you.
has, so the ITC, which the investment tax credit was at 26%, ready to start sundowning, and it's now at 30%, and I believe that's set for, do you know how long it is, Eric? It's set for quite a number of years now. Is it 10 years?
A lot of years, yeah.
I think it's a 10-year set rate. On top of that, one of the issues with the 26% is it was a tax, basically you would get a tax credit, right? And now they've made it so that nonprofits can actually get a
That was
cash
my
back.
question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and so McCandless can take good advantage of this or others, right? Before, a nonprofit couldn't really, unless they had some tax liability somehow, but a nonprofit typically doesn't. So they couldn't take advantage of those tax credits. As Eric was alluding to, there's some stipulations in there. If you use certain percentage of American-made products and a certain percentage of prevailing wages, then you can have additional tax bonuses. And for a for-profit business, this has always been around, but what people sometimes don't realize is there is accelerated depreciation on the asset, which you can accelerate to the first year. So what Eric is saying, for a typical business, you're probably going to get 45 to 50% back right off the bat in the first year. If you take advantage of some of those made in the USA bonuses, you might get up to 60%. One other addition, I'm sorry, I don't mean to take over. One other addition, if you use the right solar panel, so there's solar panels that are called bifacial, they can produce electricity from both sides. If you use that with a certain roofing material that's reflective, you can actually replace your entire roof, and that would be considered part of the solar system. Scalo Solar has mastered this way of getting the tax credits. Essentially, you could wrap your roof into your system and get 30% off your roof as well. So if you happen to be needing a new roof within a reasonable time frame, I mean, you'd only have to pay 70% of it, considering the 30% investment tax credit, right? So there's some pretty big advantages. One other last thing is there's something called the PTC. It's the production tax credit. It was only for wind farms, as my understanding, but now it is for solar generation also. Now, this might be a little different than a building array, because you would actually receive certain credits on electricity you produce above and beyond your consumption. So you would be you'd have to be considered a net generator, and there's some stipulations there. So that probably wouldn't apply to most building oriented solar arrays. But if you did want to build additional solar, that I think it goes up to 3 cents additional kilowatt per kilowatt hour would be your income, right, on that solar. So on top of what you would typically get, you get an additional 3 cents. But again, that's only on generator systems, so that's a bit of a unique side. But there's some good bonuses that occurred. Yeah.
And to
So-
cap this off, it's most businesses wouldn't know any of what we're talking about right now, right? If it
Right,
was
yeah.
for an organization that comes in and helps them through this process, and that's really speaking to why this program is something that is really great that it's happening. I was very happy when I heard that this was announced, and it'll be going on year after year. As far as that I'm aware, it says that on the application. I talked to the director; he said that as well. So if you guys decide not to do this year, you can always do it next year, but you'll be waiting a whole other year. And you could squeeze it in now, but yeah, it's very important. It's something that hasn't been done before, and it'll benefit the community, whoever decides to take up, the offer.
Okay, so if we decided as an EAC to do this application, then what is our responsibility?
So your responsibility would be, so you become sort of whoever you name. So you could name multiple members of the EAC that have time to some hours to put towards this. There's a whole timeline on that website and application link up there. I'm sure Tony has the access to that. But the members that are designated as the volunteer team essentially serves as outreach coordinators to the community. So Solar Center, you become the point person for Solar Center's information. You then distribute that out through a toolkit that they give you. There'll be social media blurbs. There's different newsletter edition, things like that, ways to communicate, events that could happen that they'll help you organize, but you will be the point person for that. Your job would be to conduct outreach. That's what the purpose is. And that'll be happening over a period of time, like in the fall, winter months, after you were to apply. That would be the job description of the applicant.
Okay, would that be as simple as taking the the publicity material you give us and sending it out on social media? Are we expected to go door to door with businesses?
So it can depend. On the application, I would encourage you to look at the application because it does depend, but
Okay,
he says that scoring for who gets into this program in the first place, even though I'm telling you most likely would get in, given that I had conversations with him. Scoring is the community teams that are identified. He's hoping that they're very active and they want to, because they're really the point person in this. They know the community, they know the businesses, right? They're going to be reaping the rewards and the positive publicity from this, from distributing this. So the more active you are, the better you are. So yes, and no. So I think that it'd be better if you would look at the application, because I don't want to give you an exact like commitment, right? But it does say hours towards it. So I imagine that's something more than just posting a couple things here and there. It's
right.
Hey, Eric, Jack Casey. Is this going to be something that would be useful to churches and synagogues and fire departments?
yeah, fire actually. So in Millvale, they were considering, they ended up not doing it for specific reasons that were, individual to them. But I believe the Millvale Fire Department was on the list for this program last year. So they were going to try to use this program to get this on a fire department. I'm not so sure about churches, but any commercial property, a site assessment would have to be done for that. I think that might be more in Tony's area of expertise, right? Whether that's the thing.
Yeah, so when it comes to any nonprofit, now they can receive the ITC, or the 30%, let's say. I'm not sure I'm not sure about the American Made bonus. That's a good question. I'd have to find out there. What typically happened in the past, and we've talked about power purchase agreements, right? Typically you had to work with because there was no way to get any incentive. You'd basically pay a full price for a system. So you would work with a third-party investor of some sort of developer, and they would purchase the system, and you would basically pay them the electricity rate that would be lower than your current rate, right? And you would have the solar array on your roof, but essentially they would own that solar array. And so you'd still have a reduced rate and those kind of things. There were advantages there. But now that the ITC, that 30% is a cash back, I think I'd have to work through the financial numbers. I haven't put that kind of stuff in my pro forma yet, but I think you could probably make maybe it would make more financial sense to actually purchase or get a loan for the system with the 30% cash back than it might be for some PPAs.
For instance, this is our ambulance authority is a 501c3 and it needs a new roof.
Oh, okay.
So this might be very beneficial to them if they get, 70% of the roof paid for.
That's right.
And they're getting a new roof anyhow.
Yeah.
And they can, I don't know if they get credits for the electricity that they generate that gets sold to the power company and they get a rebate on that, or
Yeah, so they actually can sell what are called SRECs, solar renewable energy credits. So every 1,000, every 1,000 kilowatt hours. So every megawatt hour is worth about $40. I have a small little residential solar array. Mine produces about $40 a month. I get a $40 little deposit in my account. That market varies a bit, but it's been pretty close to between 38 and 43 for the last couple of years. So the idea there is you could sell electricity back to the grid, or obviously displace your own consumption and save money. You can only, 501c rules might be a little bit different, but in a residential setting, you can only produce 110% of your total consumption and sell that back under the net metering rules. And then for them, so they get SREC dollars, they get the savings from the electricity, and they get the 30% tax credit. I'm not 100% sure on the American Made portion yet. I'd have to dig into that a little bit.
Well, on a point that was made earlier, I think the first question that was this for residents, just to flag, there is a program that's very similar to this that predates this. It is for residents. So if you ever are interested in that too, then email Tony, email me, we'll get you. And that's an ongoing program as well. It's already ended this year, but just saying.
So I have a quick question, or maybe it's not quick, I don't know. When I'm thinking about like a lot of businesses and things like that, a lot of them, especially retail, don't own the building that they're in. They're leasing their spaces and things like that. What have you seen experience like that? Like, are they able to work with the companies that own those buildings to then get this working, or are those places, businesses kind of like not able to do this? And, you know, I'm just curious about like if you've run into that in the past.
There's a stipulation in the application. So, you know, not necessarily a stipulation in your application if you guys were to apply to this, but the businesses that then would apply to you all to participate, there's a stipulation that says that they have to own it, or they have to have some sort of lease agreement that they can do this sort of stuff. It has to be like proof to Solar Center, and they have to provide that to Solar Center. So I don't know exactly what the wording is or what the arrangement is, but it is in that link up there on the top. So I think that the first stipulation on that sheet.
So a silver follow-up. So most buildings are owned by, say, Cushman and Wakefield or REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust. And so they would already know about this tax credit. It wouldn't be, so we couldn't go to Lowe's and say, I mean, Lowe's corporate certainly knows that, you know, this is available to them, but so it'd be specific to a municipal building or somebody, Joe's Garage or something like that. I mean, you know, how many people can we actually go out to and try to encourage to do this that aren't already getting that from their corporate, you know, ownership? I'm wondering in Eric's experience.
Well, in the last, you know, I get you. Yeah, Walmart's certainly gonna, you know, those big box stores are already gonna know about this. They've got probably teams of people on this already. But just from experience from the last year's program, 21, you know, different projects, little businesses, little, I think there was a brewery in Millvale that is, I think, just starting to complete that installation right now from that program. But 21 between Meadville, Etna, Millvale, and Sharpsburg. So there are a few, and I can't remember exactly what I think it's on this previous slide, what the megawatt is for that.
But 5 megawatts if I
5
read it.
megawatts. Yeah, that's significant.
Oh, 5.2 there.
Does it make it a difference whether it's a high consuming or low consuming business? Do you have a target range, size, roof, whatever?
I'm sure that well, that would be up to the installer and up to Solar Center. So it's more of, if a business is interested in exploring the possibility, then they'll submit an application. And if it makes sense, then that'll be on the Solar Center's end. I don't have a direct answer to that question.
Thank you.
I would imagine anything under 20 kilowatts or so. I mean, you're almost getting, that's almost residential size at that point. The one on my roof is 10 kilowatts and produces the majority of my electricity. For what it's worth, you know, I think one of the interesting things here is Get Solar program not only helps consulting, but also helps work them through what these financials mean, and can also connect them with different loan organizations. So my house, I took a loan out, and my monthly loan payment is pretty much the same as my savings. And then after 10 years, I essentially have a free solar array.
What's the lifespan of a solar array?
25 plus. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so most, if you have a tier 1, and you know, most panels are a 25-year warranty. Yeah. So, over that 25-year span, you'll probably have to replace the inverter once. But yeah,
Are you allowed to take your energy down to a battery?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Because
batteries are pretty expensive.
You weren't allowed to do that years ago. You had to sell to the power company. At least that's what the person that talked to me said.
Yeah, the lower price system is going to be a net metered system. You direct tie to the grid, basically supply it when you have extra and consume it when you don't have power, right? So, you know, at nighttime, you're going to take it from the grid. During the day, when it's real sunny, you're going to provide the extra to the grid. If you go battery direction, it's typically pretty expensive, at least nowadays. Yeah, battery prices are falling, but it's still.
Well, you
It
see
still
these
adds a lot.
commercials for Generac.
Yeah,
know,
right.
You have, so why wouldn't you be able to do that with solar power instead?
Oh, you could. So, if you were, I don't know exactly what the cost is for a diesel generator, the size of a Generac system. But if you could replace
Probably 5,000.
5,000,
I mean, if you want to do a whole house,
oh, okay, so
It was 9,000, by the way.
9,000 now.
9,000? Okay. So you
Oh,
could do Powerwall,
big
I think
house.
it's 7,000, maybe it might keep your house running for half a day or something. So it's still gonna be more expensive, I think.
Well, you can limit what you use too, it's up
That's
to you,
true.
so.
Yeah, it is conceivable. I guess, yeah, right. So you would really have to size your battery to how many days you're gonna, whatever, there's gonna be a blackout, let's say, in our area. I don't.
But every day, you have daylight.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to size it for days, but anyhow, we're kind of digressing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd have to think through that. I don't typically deal with the batteries too much.
thank you.
But anyway, yeah, so I mean, I think the program, the one thing we'd have to consider is what kind of volunteer ambassadors we want to recruit. And then I think we might want to consider how we would market this. I will say, once again, I'm happy to volunteer some student help if we wanted to have students to work on this. I think we could probably put together a group to work on it. So maybe, a couple students could start to identify potential businesses if we wanted to go that route. And so I think we have some volunteer help that could help put it together for us.
Okay.
Is there a list of all the businesses in McCandless?
We have it.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't have to accumulate that info or what? Yeah,
And probably the preponderance of the businesses are in my ward,
okay.
because I have the whole flats. It's
Okay.
a pretty big business,
Oh, awesome.
But to Jeff's point, how many of them are rented properties and
That's
how
true.
many?
Yeah.
Or
There is,
Richard's Pub House, we could hit them.
I'll drink to that.
They're an individual standing building. Let's meet there tomorrow, Jack.
Okay,
Thank you, Eric. This was a great presentation. It was very.
Of
Yeah,
course.
thanks
yeah,
a lot,
good
Eric.
job,
Appreciate
Eric.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
no
Eric.
problem. Email me anytime you have questions. I'm gonna give you have until 26th, okay? Don't say that I said that date, but you better
No.
get that application in, okay?
Depends when vacation's over, right?
We need one business letter from one business recommending that we do this program, correct?
Yep, and
You wouldn't happen to have a sample you could supply, would you?
yeah, there's actually templates on that application.
On the
Mhm.
website,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Yep, it's all set up for you.
Eric, can I ask one question? Have you heard anything about the Solar App Plus program from NREL?
Yes, I did. I just got an email today and it's a wonderful program too. I'll be glad to come back and present on that if you want to.
Okay.
But we're gonna be pushing that out to our communities too. There's a chance to win money. There's all kinds of stuff with that. Yeah,
Yeah, they have that prize, the $15,000 prize now.
yep, they do.
Yeah.
I want that.
I'll
It's
bring
one
it
of our
up.
connect communities, so.
Okay,
But,
hey, thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yep, I'm gonna sign off. So great to meet all of you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye.
Right.
Okay, so do we want to, I guess, discuss actually going ahead and trying to meet this deadline? I haven't looked at the application. I don't know if we all want a chance to look that over or Tony, if
Doesn't
that's
cost
something
us
you,
anything, does it?
no, it's just if we apply, we're saying we're gonna give the resources to do this right. And
Yeah, so it
just
would,
wanna
it
make
would
sure
cost
we're
us
not-
hours of volunteering is what, right? Yeah,
right,
that
right.
would be
And I don't want to
financially.
go ahead and unilaterally make that decision if it's going to mean more time than we can give it.
So, I don't, obviously, I guess I'm on board with it, and I think we might be able to find some student volunteers, from Pitt at least. As far as, we might need, I don't know, I don't want to put Jack in any position where he has to say yes, but, we'd have to have some connection to local, business community, I think would be an important.
Right, whether it's a letter that gets sent out, how
I'll get the letter.
that,
One of the things we were discussing is you can imagine if you just have a little flyer that says, hey, if you want to put solar on, it makes sense. Well, the other idea is, we can have students actually draw up a quick image, a Google image of a rooftop and figure out a general idea. It would be a very rough estimate, but it could be an estimate of solar sizing, costs, and possible return on investment, right? Within a certain area, it would be kind of general, but we could do that per building, right? So if I identified out of the list, maybe we identify 20 that we think would be top candidates, we could send out a little bit more of a detailed flyer that gives a little bit more information. And obviously, we wouldn't be held to those figures, but at the very least, it would give them an idea of, you know, you could have a payback between 6 and 8 years or something like that on your system, right? And from there, it would be, I don't know, you know, free electricity for 20 years or something, however you want to think of it.
Is this a little too much for high school kids to get involved in? I'm thinking with, you know, math and the STEM programs and,
Yeah.
or is it more of a college level?
There'd have to be some training and knowledge, I think, because there's going to be some questions, you know, regarding system sizing and stuff like that. I'm probably even thinking maybe the college kids would be,
Right.
I'd have to train them up a little, you know.
Right. And the high school kids aren't quite as reliable as.
But then I guess you're thinking of giving them just a little bit of information, but it's actually Eric's group that would, once they show an interest,
That's right.
he takes it and runs with it, right?
Yeah, so he basically, he'll take it and get a bunch of different proposals from different solar installers. Yeah, right. Those would be legitimate, you know, probably 8 to 10 page or something like that, proposals each, right? And go into real detail on costs,
Okay.
breakdown and warranties and all those kind of things. So that-
So what's in it for the EAC and what's in it for the town? Just being altruistic.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you know, there's not really any financial gain from this. But yeah, I mean, I guess one of the nice things is we'd be a piloting township in the area. Yeah.
I think it provides an education and outreach piece, which I think the EAC is still missing. You know, I'd like to see us do more education and outreach in a number of different ways and, you know, helping businesses learn more about solar, even if they don't ultimately go that route. I think it's just a wonderful service that we could offer our partners in the
Besides
community.
that, we can't work on rain gardens in the winter time. We have to do something.
Yeah.
I'm planting seeds in the wintertime. I'm gonna be very busy.
And that might go into our sustainability, you know, gold status.
That's, you think
Oh,
so?
good.
That's
Yeah.
a
I
really
didn't think
good
about
point.
that.
Yeah.
Sustainable communities
Mhm.
certification, yeah.
Okay. Well, Tony, if you feel like you've got the time to kind of spearhead this for us, maybe you students, would we like to put it to a vote as to whether we should try and get this application in?
I will volunteer to spearhead it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I think
right,
we should vote. In my opinion, it seems like a low commitment for a potential benefit to our partners. You know, he seemed
Right.
like, even though I know that once we apply, we have a certain commitment to do outreach, it doesn't seem like there's a huge commitment or any sort of fallout if you don't meet that commitment. So
And
I
I
don't
think
know.
the other thing is that once you boil down the available, you know, who this could benefit, you're gonna find that you're gonna eliminate some of these people because of
Absolutely.
strip malls and different things
Yeah.
like that are
Yeah.
not,
Mhm.
you know, are not the targeted audience. So you might find 40 businesses.
Yeah.
And that may be, you just send out 40, links or whatever that you
Right.
do. Just maybe that's your match.com is only 40 with Connect.
well,
It might not be an overwhelming number. is what I'm
Right.
saying.
yeah, that's a good point.
It's interesting. I have a really good friend who his job is he manages these strip malls
Okay.
for a big organization. So I could reach out to him because we might be able to help him with a number of facilities and maybe not just in McCandless. Well, but we could use this as perhaps the example for him to try to see if it's going to benefit him throughout the region.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. And as a lease, as a property owner, you could include in your lease bill backs to the tenant. And so you could actually produce electricity and sell it back to the tenant at what they would typically pay for electricity. They're just buying it from you. So, it'd take a little bit of, whatever, in your lease agreement, it might take an extra few lines or something like that. But I think it's possible that the tenant, or sorry, the land or the property owner could actually make some money, some
Absolutely.
additional income by doing some bill backs with the electricity, especially with the newer incentives, they kind of boost some of those. Obviously, they boost some of the income quite a bit. So, and then on top of it, the tenants might be, I don't know if, I care about it, we care about it, but I don't know if tenants would appreciate saying I have solar on my roof and my building is completely powered by renewable energy or something like that.
Mhm.
So there might be something to be said for that.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, can we have a motion to vote on applying for this program?
I'll put forward a motion.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of us putting in an application to be part of this program, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
All
I'm
opposed?
not allowed. I don't count.
Okay, well, that passes and we'll go ahead and Tony, let us know what you needs to do. I think it would probably help us all if, make sure everyone has the link.
Okay.
A little bit of homework. Go ahead and take a look at the link and see what's involved and see how we can help Tony get the word out and put this application together.
Yeah, perfect. I talked to Leo, who's the, I guess, the program manager. And I think he said we don't even need a letter. The letter was basically to show that you have the, I guess, know how to complete the mission, if you will.
Okay.
So anyway, I'll reach out and find out exactly what he wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Kind of a related question, in terms of the towns. In the past year or so, we were talking about moving the town toward, solar, and I know you had some discussions with Bob Grimm. Now, does all that start over again with Mr. O'Malley, or what do we think about
Good
that?
question.
Good question. Yeah, and that was my thought. I think, well, we applied to the Get Solar program and we have a 250 kilowatt system, which is still doable. In fact, I thought it was small for the program, but talking to Leo, he said that they do have some that are that size, and obviously in some of the smaller businesses, they have some that are smaller. So anyway, we might be able to move forward if the town manager is on board. And so I think, yeah, I'd have to have some.
So the roles have changed. It wasn't as beneficial as it is now.
Yeah, it's
Because
Usually it's a nonprofit.
we're a nonprofit.
That's
So now it changes the equation.
yeah, we were kind of forced into this power purchase agreement idea now. And in fact, I could probably run some numbers to see, but I think it might even be better for us to either, I don't know how loans work with nonprofits and all that, but take out a loan or maybe do some fundraising or whatever. But it might be more profitable to take the 30% and if there's any bonuses on that. Yeah, so I'd have to sit down and kind of work through those numbers. But yeah, you're right. It definitely makes it more, at least gives us another option. Yeah. We could still go through the Get Solar program to get the proposed pricing for installation. Because they'll send it out to multiple installers.
Mhm.
And then, but in our case, we might be able to fund it ourselves instead of having to deal. PPAs can be, some developers do it, some don't. So it kind of limits some of the installation pool that would be willing to send in a proposal. So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much.
What plays into what we're doing here at the town. And thanks to the University of Pittsburgh, students will be replacing all of glass in the place in the very foreseeable future, as well as the HVAC systems being redone.
Excellent.
So solar would just fit right in.
Fit right in, yeah. Yeah, excellent. How's the roof age look?
Haven't been up there for a while. But I know,
All right, we'll
I
talk
did
more.
hear that they
You'll
wanted
be
to
up
put a
there
new roof
tomorrow.
on on the ambulance.
Oh, the ambulance, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? That was a lot of great information, Tony. Thank you so much for putting that together and continuing to keep pushing this.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
All right, next up on the agenda, rain garden maintenance and workshop. Dawn, want to give us just a quick brief rundown on
Yep,
where we
just
are?
Real quick, so we had 3 different workshops and those have wrapped. The last one was last night. I've been trying to track the number of volunteers that we've had and the number of hours that they've put in, including some extra hours that Jack and myself and some other folks put in. So I think this is a pretty interesting statistic here, but we've essentially put in 116 volunteer hours so far. Between those 3 different events and then some additional work, like I said. So we had 14 volunteers at the first event, 12 at the second, and then roughly 12 at the last one. And I'm not including myself in those numbers. And we've distributed roughly 9 cubic yards of mulch, and we've roughly, I'll say we've restored the Heritage Center rain garden. But there are actually 4 different rain gardens at the end of the parking lot there that are called the Devlin Park Rain Gardens. And we've only uncovered, we'll say 1, maybe 1.5 of those 4. So like Jack said, we still have a lot of work to do. A wonderful thing that's come out of this event is that we have a really nice group of volunteers that have shown up, some of them at each of the 3 workshops, and have expressed an interest in continuing to work on it this fall. They're committed to seeing it through. So that's really nice. We might put together a couple more casual work days this fall. Not so much putting on a any sort of presentation, but just coming to work. So it's been a great event, and I think next spring we'll get it finished. We met with the Audubon guy on Monday. He came out to see the site. The Audubon Society of Southwestern Pennsylvania helped us install the gardens back in 2010. And best I can tell, the one at the Heritage Center went in around 2017. And he assures me that in the areas that we've already cleared, we've done great work, and that we're only going to have 1 or 2 or 3 volunteer work sessions next year, 2 in the spring, 1 in the fall. A lot less manual labor this time around next year anyway. We should see big returns from the work that we're doing. So if we could continue, I'm putting together a maintenance plan too. I don't have that ready just yet, but we can submit that to council and to DPW with recommendations about how to keep these wonderful assets, looking good and doing what they're supposed to do. So one final thing I'll say, and then we can wrap it up, is that we've discovered some great resources about when the rain gardens went in, some great photos of what it looked like, some great statistics about how much rainwater gets collected, that sort of thing. So I'm going to be working with John at some point to get a page added to the website that features the rain gardens, that tells the story, how they started and where they are now, and how much water we've collected and what the benefits and that sort of thing are. Oh, two more quick things. We had a lot of really great collaboration. We had the fire department that helped us, and the Heritage Center folks. I mean, I can't tell you enough how awesome they were. They actually produced a body or 2 or 3 for each one of those work sessions for us. So that the people that they provided worked so hard too. So that was really great.
You want to talk about how you want to collaborate with them for summer camp?
Yeah, that might be something really more for me just to go into a little more detail about at some other time. But just real quick, so you guys can know about it, the Heritage Center is going to try to put together some sort of summer camp programming for local kids, which is great. Don't know much of the details just yet, but they would love to collaborate with us about some educational, Matt, hopefully you and I can come up with some great ideas. I've already got some good ideas, and I really want to use the rain gardens as little classrooms for us. There's a lot of projects that we can do that are related to the rain gardens that can keep these kids busy. There's a lot that we can do with the rain gardens in the future, sort of. For example, the kids can build bee insects. We can build pollinator baths. We can do some crafts and some experiments with some plants and some different things like that. There's some erosion type experiments to show them how rain gardens actually filter water, stuff like that we can do. We can do some plantings with the kids. So there's just a lot of opportunities. The Heritage Center staff is great. They're so totally open to doing this. And I'll loop you into that, Matt. Yeah, so I don't know, Jack, did I cover it?
Yeah, good.
I'm babbling at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Dawn, for the time you put into this. I know you had a lot of people come out and help you out, but I was at the first two of these programs and very informative. And like she said, some great volunteers and I think we've got the start of a great group there. So really appreciate the work that was done. It's amazing. So
got-
thanks again.
You got some nice compliments from people talking about how you were succinct and spoke well, and it was very informative, and they were very appreciative.
Was that Abby?
There was a number of
Just
people
kidding.
actually mentioned it.
No, great
Well,
job.
thank you, thank you.
All right. Thanks again. All right, next up on the agenda, Wall Park Trail. Anything new to report this month, Ken or Jack?
I really don't have anything new. We haven't seen where things go. Jack would have more information on with the sanitary authority.
Well, tomorrow I meet at the sanitary authority, have a discussion with them. Next week, I'll be walking Wall Park with the town manager and with the head of our Department of Public Works.
Okay,
And I've asked them to cut trails where there aren't water problems, which might not be exactly where you might anticipate they are. They're more along Rochester Road. But that's more in line with being able to help the Whitetail Committee being able to get in and get out with their deer. So because right now, a lot of it's overgrown, and so how can you get a hunter in there? You know, he just has to thrash, and by the time he
Mhm.
gets in. So we think that might help the hunters there at the same time as start to open up some trails. The trail would actually go along Rochester Road and head up towards the Old Orchard Park over in, I guess, close to Franklin Town, in Franklin Park.
so it's on the other
So
side
it's,
of the creek.
it's, yeah, on the other, well, yeah, on the other side of the creek, and it kind of is adjacent to Rochester Road.
Okay,
Now, and looking at it, I know when you go out for grants that it's important to try to bring in other communities. So in that area, if we go below Wall, we can connect into Ross. I
Mhm.
met somebody at your meeting, EAC meeting, that did put me on a lead to get their information from their trail system so I can find out how we can connect. But I was looking at the maps and we can connect close to their park, but I don't know if we can get there
right there.
quite there. So we can actually come up through the other side of our park, through the back of the St. John Newman Church. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can come, if they would give us permission, we could probably come in the back way. And so I think there's two alternatives to try to get to that park. And then again, I talked to Department of Public Works, and we're gonna try to work with an organization called Kaboom that builds parks. What they do is they partner with businesses, and the business comes in and they supply the labor. They come in and they preset all the poles and posts, and then they have people come and talk to the volunteers as to how to build these parks. So we're going to try to put one in the budget this year for down at the bottom of Wall Park, closer to the ball fields. And then we're going to try to put one up at the top where the dump site is, because that has a 2-year life. And then once we have that in, and we're going to try to rough out a trail before then, but then we'll have a much better standing when we go out to try to get additional monies to try to make this a better trail.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Mhm.
Jack, what are you building on both sides? Is it the trailhead? Is that?
No, a park, a pocket park.
Oh,
Okay, so
But that
so
doesn't
for
include-
instance, if you've ever taken a kid to a ball game and you've got a kid playing ball and you got a little kid, you got to do something with that little kid. So it's nice to have a little playground that
Oh,
they
like
can
a
go.
playground. Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
so-
Okay, all right.
And that's what
Got it.
Kaboom comes in. They help you set up a playground. If we have one there and a little pocket park at the top of the Wall Trail,
Got it.
and then-
Yeah.
essentially our trail goes all the way down to Pine Creek from that point already. And it isn't much of a stretch to be able to, there's few property rights and owners and stuff we're gonna have to work with. We get down to Potter, but below Potter, It might be a little bit of a sticky wicket. We have to solve that problem, but it's mostly road. Over time, maybe we could work with the property owners and with grants to try to get money to put in sidewalks, but you know, I don't think the solution to connecting our town is all sidewalks. You know, I think it's trails. I think it's, you know, if you go up to, I think Marshall, in the Marshall area, they have some paths that are just, and they do over at Old Orchard. They have beautiful paths and it's just asphalt and it works fine and at a fraction of the expense. So anyhow, that's where we're at.
Great. No, you.
Yeah.
it's
Sounds
still-
awesome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, still going strong. Thank you.
Well, thanks to this young lady, she hooked me up with a lady that's hooking me up with the people that build all the trails in North Park. So I'm learning a lot about making trails.
All right. And teach us all.
But we have to be very
Exactly.
careful when there's wetlands. So if there's wetlands and we have to go to the hillside.
Right.
And it's just, you know,
Is
a
it
lot going on.
Is it Trail Pittsburgh or who are the people that you,
No, it's the,
that built the trails in North Park?
in North Park, it was Rangers. I don't know. Ken knows more about that.
Yeah, Rangers built the trails in
Is
North
it the
Park.
Allegheny County Ranger program or?
Mhm.
The Rangers maintain the trails, but they didn't actually build them. That was actually just done by a bunch of mountain bikers. Building them.
Mhm.
But periodically, the Allegheny County Rangers put on trail building workshops for folks. So we're keeping our eyes peeled for when the next ones come up. So hopefully a couple of us can take that program.
Better than
That'd
that,
be
we can
great.
we'll donate Walt to be the example for them to practice on.
Those programs don't actually build trails. They're for maintaining, it's for getting rid of the invasive
Mhm.
species and such up and through the course.
Good for you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jack. All right, next, I'm just going to give a real brief summary of the North Hills EAC gathering. I guess since most of us were there, we don't need to say too much other than I think it went really well. We had great participation from Ross and Hampton. Each sent 4 folks, I think, and then we also had one person from Franklin Park and another from Pine. I think one poor woman from Pine, I think it was, got the date wrong, showed up the next night.
Didn't we
So-
have Shaler and North Hills too?
No, well, North Hills is Ross.
Oh, Ross, yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Shaler, I don't believe has an EAC.
Oh,
Ross was
oh, I
there.
heard that wrong then. Okay.
Yeah, Ross was there. They had 4 folks there. They've been very enthusiastic participants. And as a result, Tony went ahead and set up the link for our Google Docs. Has anyone had any issues? Had a chance to take a look? Basically, it's just a shared document that lists what we did at the meeting, some information folks asked for, and space to put your contact information, as well as slideshows from our solar program and other publicity for our next speaker series. So I haven't had any other comments come back on that. So hopefully I haven't looked at it since I made the first couple of edits and additions in the beginning.
You might want to check, hopefully the goal is for us to be able to all collaborate and drop documents on there, or if you want to edit, there's a Word doc with just some general notes and some contact info. So if you find that, I tried to work the share settings as well as I could. So if you find that you, for some reason, can't upload a document or something like that, let me know and I'll go in and fine tune the share settings. I'm not a Google folders expert or anything like that.
Okay, and now Ross is trying to set up our next meeting and within the first couple of weeks of October. Did everyone get that email? You were, because I wanted to ask if you were on the distribution.
I was on the distribution
Okay.
and I was able to put in my preferred times.
Okay,
I don't remember seeing pages, beyond that of the slideshows or anything like
Yeah,
that.
these
But
were
I'll look further.
different things.
Okay.
Make sure we get that link to
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure.
That'd be great.
Jeff, just
I
in
went
case
in and
we-
I looked at it and I read the terms and conditions and I opted to not do it because I
That
don't
was
want to,
just the Survey Monkey thing.
yeah, but I don't want to get emails. So,
Okay,
it'll proliferate, like the trouble with tribbles should get 60 emails. So I did email her my bill.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions with that? But at this point, I'm gonna hand it off to Ross to set up the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, next, Dave, your fall litter cleanups.
Kind of be brief here. Our little group that organizes this is now myself, Jeff. We've roped him into this.
Good job.
Kathy and Lynn. So there's four of us that are kind of the brains behind this, but we met on August 17th. The dates are Saturday, October 15th and Saturday, October 22nd. Meeting at 8:30 here at Town Hall. Head out at 9. We're gonna try to do 9 to 11 instead of 10 to noon this time.
Okay.
Last spring, we needed 2 dates to try to cover most everything. The first day we did McKnight, Duncan, Babcock, and then the second time, I think we tried to do Perry Highway, the hill up to Wexford Flats, the interchange there at the bottom of Pine Creek and the Wexford Flats. So it does take 2 days to get most of it done. We're gonna start advertising. The first ad was in the McMail. John put together a new format where we sign up online. So he doesn't have to deal with phone calls and messages and emails from people opting in and opting out and all of that kind of stuff. So that is set up. Any update on that? I signed up.
Yeah, we have about a dozen or so, which is probably on par with where we usually are at this point.
Okay. Now that Dawn has maybe wrapped up her rain garden, we can recruit her to do help us with social media advertising like you did in the spring.
Sure, I'd be happy
Good.
to.
Some of the sites and that kind of thing.
That would be great because I can't help out with the event on the 15th. So that would be a good way for me to still help out with, I can be there on the 22nd. I think,
Okay,
but
yep, great.
Yep.
Like
I'll
to get
email you.
something into the North Journal at some point. We still can do that, I guess, right? There was some talk, we just were really disappointed that Community Day didn't have a table there for us. Because that really helps us have some outreach with the public, sign people up, get people interested in litter, tell them what we've done the past 5 years. I think it would have helped Dawn's work on the rain garden also to talk that up and maybe get some volunteers for that, but
Did we ask the town?
we were told there were no tables for any of the town committees.
Next time, come grab.
There
us.
was definitely room for us.
Very much so.
Next time, please, just grab me.
That was just a real lost
It
opportunity.
really was, particularly with us doing all the work. We could have just 3 or 4 more sets of hand would have just helped so much.
It's a great event for kids, but there's also, I mean, you got all those parents there and
Utilize,
just,
yeah.
and they're all McCandless folks, so anyway.
Yeah, that's a big miss. I apologize that we didn't rise to the occasion. The Heritage Center had a location there.
What's that?
The Heritage Center had a table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why couldn't we?
We have a meeting scheduled with Mr. O'Malley next week to talk about litter, to try to gauge his commitment to litter pickup, cleaner McCandless, that kind of thing. Bring him up to date on what we've done. Maybe he's got some other ideas on what he's seen other places. The Key Club, we haven't heard back from them on, they're kind of a big part of both of the cleanup days. I know school just kind of started, but we haven't heard anything back from them yet, so. But I think now that we got past Community Day and we'll get rolling on a little more of the advertisement on advertising for it, so. That's all. Any questions?
You guys do a phenomenal job. Can't thank you enough. And I know you're out there lots of
all the
other
time.
days.
I know, I've
There's a lot.
seen 'em.
We're out there lots of other times. We're constantly complaining about bags on the side of the road, buckets on the side of the road. The town doesn't pick it up. PennDOT, it's PennDOT's responsibility. PennDOT can't pick it up. It usually falls on, a 65-year-old volunteer to go out and pick up something. along the side of the
68,
road.
you're going, I pick it up too when they call.
Yeah, no. We
So-
battle over the signs and the enforcement of the sign ordinance, so it's just.
Well, I
it's a
have to tell you,
constant.
we have a new compliance officer, Alex Coyne.
Yep.
And I think he's doing an admirable job. I know he picked up 7 signs last week,
Okay,
so he's
yeah,
trying.
we just keep feeding, if we see it, write a note. Send it into Alex and. The thing is, Jack, we never hear it, there's never any feedback back from the town.
The software is being implemented as we speak. And I think that I'll check into it and see if we can make sure that there's some feedback.
Right. Because that would really help, just. You don't know
But it'll
whether,
give you an opportunity. I'm about 90% sure it's going to give you the opportunity to go in and put things in, and then the town will be able to close things out.
oh, okay.
We discussed it, but it was way over my head.
And online, it's labeled as a complaint form. It's not everything that you input there is a real complaint. That sometimes it's a suggestion, hey, did you notice this? What's the town's, what does the town feel about this or that, or I think complaint is kind of maybe the wrong term, but
Got another one?
I suggestion, input, anything like that, but not everything that you
Observation?
observation, maybe, yeah. But some things are complaint, if your neighbor has grass that's 3 feet high, that's probably a complaint, so. Anyway,
Unless it's ornamental grass.
okay, that's good for litter.
Okay, thank you, Dave. And I guess we'll have one more meeting before
Yep. before
during setup,
10:15.
so at that point we'll know what you need. If there's anything we can help you with. Okay, just a quick update on where we stand with our landscape planting guide, just because I've had a question or two come up in the past month that kind of nudges me that when we did this, we finished it up about a year ago. Just at the town council and zoning's request to have some sort of a document they could give to developers to just, so we give them suggestions as to what to plant with their developments, because we had nothing to give them and we want to start pointing them towards native plants, that sort of thing. So I kind of took a first step with it, compiled a little something. So at least now there is it's a small list. It's certainly not an exhaustive list to give developers when they ask. But now I think with some questions we're getting, it's probably time to take the next step with that. Especially the shrubs and flowers type section. We did have an issue come up this past month where Kim Zachary, member of council, noted that some brand new plants put in front of town hall here are butterfly bushes, which is an invasive species, and she was very
No.
concerned. Let me finish.
Okay.
I know. Jack checked in with the nursery checked in with a link they gave us, also proven winners. And this is supposed to be a Miss Ruby type butterfly bush, which is the documentation says it's non-invasive. I know Kim wasn't necessarily happy with that answer. And I've been trying to do a little more digging. I've contacted Donna Raddick, who's a master gardener who has advised us on quite a few things to get her input. I did a little research myself on exactly what is invasive, what makes it invasive. I don't quite understand how you can have a non-invasive variety of an invasive plant, because I think whether it's invasive or not, it's something that develops over time. You watch how it propagates and that sort of thing. So while I understand that all the literature says it's not invasive, I'm not quite convinced that that can be. So I'm trying to get the opinion of a master gardener. I'm going to reach out to her again. I haven't heard back, or if not, I'll try another source, but I'd like a master gardener
Good job.
Penn State input on
Yeah, it's
what that means.
considered a sterile bush,
Is that it? Okay.
and I don't know enough about
And I don't either. I just did a little bit to where I understand, Kim's reluctance to take that at face value right
Well, I
off the
think
bat. So
her issue is it's non-native, probably.
that too. And that's something else, once again, to expand the landscape planting guide to include more native plants. It is fairly limited right now, especially shrubs. That can be expanded quite a bit. And I think that's the next step. And at the same time, also have some sort of a document that lists the invasive plants that we do not want to see. And I'd like to work with RJ. I'm on the task force for the new zoning regulations. And Donna Raddick is as well. So hopefully we can start working some of that into our actual zoning regulations and what is allowed and what is not. So
Good job.
that's kind of the next step with that effort.
Can I
I'll start
make a
working on that.
recommendation?
Sure.
I would recommend that we bring in the whole North Hills EAC and try to get their input and utilize a little bit of their bandwidth to try to help us. And then we can use our EACs to reach out to all the various nurseries to ensure that they're not selling invasive species and the wrong things. I think that they're, from talking to people at Best Feeds, I think they're very proactive in making sure they're selling the right products, but it does give us an opportunity to work with the North Hills EAC.
Yes, and in fact, when I put mine together, I used almost as a template. Hampton has their version and Franklin Park has a version as well. And I borrowed heavily from what they had already done to try and put into ours. So I'm not sure that, I don't think Pine or Ross has one, but I'm sure we could get some interest and work together on these. So,
As far as the butterfly bushes, I found it very interesting. There were 3 that are allowed in Oregon, which is very
I
restrictive,
saw that.
and they have 2 that aren't.
And I also read though that different butterfly bushes propagate differently in different climates. And so it's so
It's such a perfect bush, though.
it's
Well-
beautiful. If you've seen them out there, they're beautiful, but
Yeah, they are beautiful. Hey, something, Judy, you probably won't need it, but to the extent it's helpful, on the EAC SharePoint site, I put the list of noxious plants in
Oh,
PA
okay.
and a couple other resources about invasives from
okay,
NPA.
great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Just a question about developers
Mhm.
and planting. Let's say they put in their, they plant, the place opens up, and a year later, whether it's Sheets or CVS or the bank or this place over on Blazer, the trees die, the shrubs die. Does the town go back and say, you need to replace this, or is there a timeline or like a guarantee period or anything like that? Or
That's more from the whoever installed the tree or whatever usually has a 1-year guarantee type of thing that it'll come back.
I don't think that's what he's talking about, Ken. I think he's talking about over time, what happens, and that's usually an agreement that the builder or that location has with the town. They basically have an agreement when they build a piece of property and they agree to have a buffer.
Mhm.
And that buffer has to have certain requirements met. And if they don't, the town can go in and ask them to replant it. The problem with that is they don't have sizes. So
Mhm.
they could say, yeah, we put in an what do they call them? Our
Arborvitae.
arborvitae, yeah. And it could be this tall and they comply. So if you have any opportunity with your group,
Mhm.
I would recommend that you would say, you know, it has to be 3 foot tall or what have you.
Okay, so that's just more. Okay, more detail that we think should be in the Salvo. or
ordinance.
Ordinances.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just as when you're going over to LA Fitness on that road, the developer planted red oak trees underneath the power lines.
Oh.
And in 2 or 3 years are gonna be, it's gonna be an issue.
Right.
What do we do there?
That's between the power company and the owner.
Okay.
okay. So that was the update there. Anyone has any questions or recommendations or thoughts on that, please let me know. Okay, that's what I had for the projects. Next, community outreach updates. Tony, would you like to speak on the event scheduled for the 22nd?
Yeah, so we have Dr. Dave Sanchez coming in for a presentation on the 22nd, but I reached out to Katie. I was having a hard time Katie Coleman from North
Oh,
Public
yeah.
Library. So she's kind of helping us with some of the marketing and everything. I was having a hard time finding the actual website that showed any information on their website. So anyway, I reached out to her and she said so far there's been 0 people to sign up for this speaking event. So at this point,
This is the water event, is that?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're at this point, I reached out to Dave actually and told him. And so I said that we're trying to postpone it till November. So, that gives us some extra time to do some marketing, but I guess maybe the question is, are we marketing it properly? Are we, the speaker series, is it really getting seen by people? I'm not sure.
Well, I can add that I know Ross did put something on their Facebook page. They told me they would, and I dug up their Facebook page and they put the publicity on there, just to add that we did get some help there. My only feedback maybe, and Katie may be right, maybe September's just a busy month and people aren't interested. I think it needs a catchy title personally.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's lacking in title.
Okay. No, that's a good call.
Has it been advertised on our social media channels? I don't know that I've
Mhm.
seen it. Has it?
It
Okay.
has,
Okay.
but I think it kind of gets lost. And I'm sure we would have put it out again here
Mhm.
beforehand,
Yeah,
before the 22nd.
Yeah.
And
only about a week there.
I
so
I know,
with 0
We
people
do.
signed up, I think,
I would agree.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I think maybe one of the questions might also be if it's advertised for the 22nd, do we have to request whoever's done the advertising to change all that, yeah, so I know we don't have a November date quite yet, but I would hate to see people show up if anyone does show up on the 22nd.
Because maybe they thought that, because it does say
Yeah.
registration required. does it
Okay,
not?
all right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I wanted to do it virtually, and it says sign up, like, it was
Mm.
some really odd address. It was IT something like IZ or something like, I couldn't, it
was
wasn't
bit.
your
Was it
normal,
BIT,
yeah,
like one of those small, it was like a small address and bi.t or something like that.
something like that.
Okay,
Is that, I mean, is that an actual URL or, I mean, or do I have to go to the library? It was not clear to me.
so if you
And,
click on it, it's supposed, and this actually happened with mice also, that we had to redo the link. That's actually a good question. We had to redo the link on when I did my talk in May, because the link that they sent out you couldn't, if you clicked on it, it didn't do anything, but if you copied and pasted it, and I don't know, this is beyond me. If
Yeah,
you put it into the search bar, it somehow worked.
I've
So
had
we
that
had to,
happen too.
yeah,
I
and
know what you
so,
mean.
you can imagine if someone clicks on it and they don't get to the RSVP, they're not gonna come back in a week or 2
Right.
months or something, right?
yeah.
So, maybe that's the issue. I didn't actually click on the link.
It works.
Were you able to get, it works?
The link work, I just checked it now. It's a bit.ly, which is just a way of condensing down to a much shorter
Bitly.
URL instead
Yeah.
of it being a whole Google spread, spelled
Yeah,
out thing. But yeah, it does take you to the sign up Google form essentially, where you can put in your name and everything like that. So
Hey,
Okay.
I'm on the town's Facebook page and I'm on the Insta, and we've got nothing posted about the speaker series. I've gone clear back to August 19th. I see nothing posted. I mean, it might be on the town's website, but it doesn't look like we put it on social.
I feel like we did, maybe it's just been a little
I'm not
while.
seeing it. I'm
As
looking
soon
all
as
through the
we got
I
feed.
don't quite recall.
Hmm?
I don't quite recall at this point.
I-
Yeah,
you had a
it's
lot
not
of
on here. I
stuff.
think we need to get it well, whenever we are gonna hold it, we need to do better about that.
But if you do make the decision to postpone, I guess we are gonna have to post, to post something that it's postponed,
That's right.
just for those that,
Well, I think Katie would basically have to take that RSVP link and put postpone till.
oh,
something.
okay,
right.
okay,
If
gotcha.
everyone has to RSVP anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
then she can.
And
she
if
can
0
respond to
people have
everybody.
RSVP'd, I don't think we need to tell anyone, the date has changed, but yeah, I think one of the things we have to kind of decide, and if there's any other additional marketing or whatever. I think for my talk in May, I think I sent it out to some of the students in my class and
Mhm.
Mascaro Center for Sustainable Innovation and stuff. So I actually have no idea what demographics showed up or not, because I think a number of people were online there,
Yeah,
but
that's a good
We
point.
only
Yeah,
had about-
Katie had that list.
we had about 10 or so, I think, here, like in person.
Including me, 9.
None.
Hey, Tony,
What about me, including me? It's 10.
10, that's right.
You attended your own presentation.
Yeah, technically I was there, yeah. Mhm.
whenever we do reschedule this, you might want to work with Abby at the Heritage Center. They have a Friends, I think it's a Friends of the Heritage Center site, or somehow the Heritage Center has its own social sites, and so they'll post out too. And the
Okay,
Activities Committee, they might be able to further, I don't know what avenues they really have, but that might be something to speak to them about.
But since I know the Heritage Center seems to get really good response to their programs, so
Mhm.
whatever they're doing, I think we need to take a cue from them, and even if they'll help us publicize our events too, that would,
yeah.
I think, be huge.
Well, their programs have a real kind of local
Yeah,
emphasis or bent to them. I don't know.
No, Abby's down with, maybe working with us on some things.
you know what, would it? I don't know.
They're trying to expand a little bit, so
Can we do a presentation at their facility?
I
Absolutely.
think it's
Sure they would.
definitely worth a conversation.
It'd probably be a cool venue.
I think it would.
It would, and they're a great collaborator.
Maybe this is another addition here. When I approached Dave, I kind of left the door open for him to present on what he wanted to. I
Mhm.
know we had kind of sort of generally talked about water resources in some way. But if we have some particular area that we think might be interesting, I could request that he hear his
Focus on
talk a certain way, right? Yeah, he's had a lot of experience in Pittsburgh area and everything, so yeah, I mean, I don't think that would be an issue. But
We narrow
I
it
just,
down.
yeah, I kind of said, hey, this is what we're looking for. Are you willing to do it? But
Mhm.
I didn't give him any direction.
Okay,
You might actually enjoy some direction. Sometimes when a topic is too broad, it's hard to.
yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe that's another part of the solution, is to narrow that down. And did he have a presentation already? All ready to go, or?
Knowing Dave, most likely not.
Okay,
No,
So I know a lot of the Heritage Center stuff, there's some pretty strong like local history groups that
Mhm.
have real big Facebook presences and they like to gather and things like that. If there was any way to do the changing landscape of McCandless, or, you know, the changing, like how water affected the settlement here, or, you know what I mean? Like ways of taking history and environmental and putting them together, I think might really attract some different crowds also.
I love it.
How the water, you know, gets from McCandless to the Allegheny River and how it's changed in the past 50 years of development and all
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so maybe a history, obviously a local twist is definitely a big one.
Yeah, and then put that in the title also, so that
Yeah.
kind of catches people. Catches their interest, I
Right,
guess.
and then is Abby the contact then? Through,
Abby
Eric?
Lacostic, yeah, she's the chair of the whatever, I don't know the name of the group. It's what is it, Jack? Financial Development, something or other, blah, blah, blah.
Operation or something, yeah,
FDPC.
FTPC.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I
okay,
wouldn't spring that on him for next week, but I mean, if it's for
Right.
November, then maybe that's
Yeah.
something that he can kind of.
okay, well then that makes some sense. Do a little bit of revamping, maybe revisit our location. But it sounds like maybe we need to find out when Dave's available and when Katie
Yeah.
can help us, and then obviously working with the Heritage Center. And their facility, see what they can provide. Do you know if they have the ability to do things virtually? The way we do them here?
It'd
Yeah.
be a little bit tougher there.
Yeah,
Yeah. They can hold 45 or so in person with a screen, the projector, but I don't know if they've ever tried anything hybrid up there at this point.
well, I mean, how do we?
All you need is a laptop.
Record it,
Hmm?
put it online, put it on.
They don't say no,
YouTube.
so if we asked them, I'm sure they'd do it.
Mhm.
But it's just, how good is the internet there?
It should be a lot better now.
Is it, okay?
Okay, and maybe that's something we can get Katie and Abby or and John collaborate on and figure out what we can do, because they're doing all of their events in person only. So
Okay.
maybe that's what we
Yeah.
look at for this.
Yeah, maybe so. It makes presenting a little easier.
Sure does, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that hybrid model at all. Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any objections to putting this off?
I think you have to.
Yeah,
Sounds like the best move. Kind of rethink it just a little bit, but thank Dave for us, please, and
Yeah.
apologize for,
No problem. Yeah, he said any time before Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The night before. Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And we can work together.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
figure out what to do.
And you also have election day. I'll avoid that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gone that whole week. That doesn't mean you can't put it on. I'm gone. Okay, next up, Matt, I guess an update on on your attempts to reach folks.
Yeah, so I sent out an email around the beginning of the month to a bunch of different sponsors of various clubs that might be open to partnering with us, all secondary, middle school, and NAI and Nash. I had not heard anything back, so I sent a follow-up email today, and while we were online here, I got a response.
All
So
right.
I'm happy to say the sponsor of the Interact Club at Nash is interested in speaking. She said that she's it's really busy next like 4 or 5 weeks, but around mid-October she'd love to sit down and brainstorm some ideas. I'm going to let her know about the litter cleanup so that she said she's got a lot of kids who are very interested in environmental issues. She also works with gifted students who are passionate about the environmental issues. So hopefully we'll get some kids involved from Nash through that, and I'll continue to follow up.
Oh, that's great. Yay. You knew somebody would
All
bite
right.
eventually.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for continuing to push them. That's great. And maybe if you could just get in there with the one group, then we can grow it from there.
That's the hope.
Very
That's the hope.
I'm sorry, Matt, you said that was at Nash or?
It is, yeah. The name of the
What
club
age are
is
the kids?
they're the Interact Club. So yeah, it's 11th and 12th graders, and it's Jan Ellen Lombardi is the person that I am now have a contact with. She even gave me her phone number so I can contact her directly if I don't have to just send emails out into the ether.
No, that's great, Matt. Thank you. Keep us updated how that goes. Okay, last community outreach item we have is just follow up on Community Day and Winterfest. And thanks, Dave. It's already kind of given us some feedback on Community Day. Dawn did put her word tree together, and we did put that on a poster. So Dawn, you can continue with the follow-up. Or the where did we go with the poster? Where did the poster go? Did we get it?
Yeah, so John
Okay.
took the big one and I'm not sure where he put it. And then Abby up at the Heritage Center took our smaller one and put that in her booth with her stuff.
Okay, so we did have the word tree and there was a QR code on it, right?
Yep, that took
linked
you
to-
back to the site or website, the
Right.
town's website, so you could get more information about the various events. I didn't get a proof out to everybody and I apologize. If you want me to send it out post, Community Day, I can, but we were able to advertise the upcoming events like we wanted to do and add the QR code. So I wasn't able to add everybody's name in. That was a good suggestion. And then Jack wanted me to reorder the parks, but that software I was using was free and it was limited and I couldn't completely manipulate. So I did the best I could to try to work in everybody's suggestions to the best I could, but am I supposed to go into the Winterfest now?
If you want to,
Okay.
if you think it can wait, we can wait, but
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it. Just you guys can know unless somebody really cares, we're going to put up a tree again this year and we've got a theme. It's going to be native plants. It's going to be the decorative theme for the ornaments on our tree. And if you care to have more details, I can give them to you next meeting.
all right. Thank you, Dawn, for taking care of those as well.
Mhm.
Any other community outreach type things we need to discuss? So, if not, next up, just miscellaneous. Dawn has offered to do our McMail tips for next month on rain gardens, correct?
Yeah, because I have the presentation written, so I just have to rejigger it a little bit, then it's done.
Right, so when does she need that to you, John?
September 28th.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
And I know topics for next month, I know this touches so much of what we talk about, but I know Dawn's been wanting to talk about a social media policy and different ideas. I don't know if that's something you still want to put on our agenda for next month, or just kind of wait and see if you have time to.
I can talk about it next month. Just real quick though, I would like for us to do a post about spotted lanternfly and where to report that. Does anybody have an objection to me just feeding something to John about that?
Not at all.
Okay, and then I would really love to do one about not cleaning out your garden in the fall, that leaving the dried and dead flower and things, flowering stems and things like that for the insects to overwinter. We also want to do a request for maybe some plant donations if anybody's dividing some stuff this fall and wants to donate it to the rain garden. So I thought maybe I could do a little bit of a combination
Okay.
post there, if that's okay. And then we could talk about ideas moving forward, but so is everybody cool with that for now?
Yeah.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Thanks.
There's still one fern that needs planted down there.
I will be over. I'll be
I'll
over.
put it in if you tell me where you want it.
We'll work it out.
Okay.
Okay, you're up next, Jack. Your town
Oh,
council
I thought
report,
you said
sorry.
Jeff, you said
Jack, I'm sorry.
Took the town manager and Jason Singer down to meet with the people above Dawn up at Richard Road and where the old Harmony line used to run. to have a discussion in stormwater, and it was a very robust conversation. We talked about where the stormwater issues really start, and they start up in Pine, a little bit out of Marshall Township that comes into Blue Heron and then comes down. So we talked about some solutions that we could do there. They actually have a necklace of rain gardens that go up all along the trail at Blue Heron. We've asked the town manager to ask Pine if they would choke those off with some choke plates so that they actually retain some water. Also talked about, additional retention ponds up in that area. And we just recently rebuilt the North Meadows Pond. I don't know if you had a chance to get up there, Don, but what we did is it was essentially a very large retention pond, and we cut it in half. And the upper half will retain water, I'm going to say up to 72 hours. But if we get a lot more water than that, then it'll flow over a spillway and go into the second one. And then there's different series of orifices that will allow waters in at different rate. So that's our first step. Okay. We're trying down there, but it's a lot of money. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot that's going to go into fixing this. I think I counted in total 30 retention ponds collectively that affect the water that flows into the end point, which is down at the bottom of 19 and Pine Creek Road, where that old Gardner property, it's owned by Schweigers now. That's where the flooding is the worst, but they certainly experience a lot of flooding up in the valley in different locations. So the town is working diligently. We're taking it serious. We're looking at every possible conceivable thing we can do, but it just takes time.
So is the existing, what do you call them, the collection areas?
Retention.
Retention bonds, yeah. So are the existing ones just not functioning properly?
A lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of them were built, decades ago, and they didn't do the retention that we would like to see. For instance, the one at the bottom of Oak Ridge, it essentially, might as well just put a straight pipe into the creek, because it just flows out of Oak Ridge into this big retention pond that has this big opening, and it just flows right through. That's right below Dawn's house.
Yeah.
So
There's a trickle. There's nothing but a trickle ever in this.
yes, unless it's raining really hard. But I even talked to the town engineer last Sunday afternoon. We talked for hours on what can be done. So to Don's point, I think our very first conversation with this meeting was about stormwater. And I want you to know, another really good thing is we just finalized all the new rules and regulations on the Stormwater Committee. And that's Jason Singer, Kathy Rappa, Dr. Rappa, and myself. And we rewrote those to make ours. We want to make our town stormwater rules the best. We want them to be the Cadillac set of rules, so everybody else will want to model after us. So they're done. Now we have to, I guess, go through the process of make it an official. But there was just one little tweak they had to make after it was presented to the board on Monday. Somebody recommended that one little change. Once that's so be recommended probably next in 2 Mondays.
Okay.
So we're moving forward.
Should this committee have been given the opportunity to review those regulations?
I'll be happy to send them out to everybody.
I think that would be great if we could take a
Okay,
look.
be happy to do that. They were posted probably online for
Are
everybody.
they posted?
Yeah,
Okay.
They were on the agenda. That's like
yeah.
100 pages or so.
Oh, no, it's like 300. Tell me, I read them all.
That's, I just didn't know if they were created from scratch or from
No, they were,
state
They were-
documents or something.
I maybe I was a little misleading with how I put this. Okay. The town had an ordinance in place, and then the town engineer went over and they made changes. And then there was a change in the garden. We have a new stormwater committee, and we reviewed it, and we liked some of their change and didn't like some. So anyhow, this is the final product, and it's I'd be happy to share it with
Okay, thank you, Jack. Okay, we have no other business. We do have members of the public with us tonight. Thank you so much for attending. Does anybody have any public comments for us tonight? Okay, would you like to step up? Could you please give us your name?
Good evening. My name is Stuart Strickland. I am a 31-year resident of McCandless. I live at 8219 Eleanor, which is not far from the corner of Perry and Perrymont. A couple suggestions on the first presentation about Connect, the solar thing. Question, can the township buildings be considered part of that? Like if you were to put a solar panel on the Wall Park shelter, for example, could that be part of the proposal?
Can
Yeah,
you answer that, Tony? I know
Yeah, so.
you know the whole background of everything that we've looked at so far, so.
Yeah, so I guess it's conceivable. The one thing you would have to connect it, so if there was some sort of a electrical at the site and you had some sort of meter, right? So that would be the key, or else you'd have to run electric and that kind of ups the cost.
I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
that building there has 120 volt outlet now.
Okay,
I'm not suggesting that we do it. I just wondered
Yeah.
if that could be included as part of the proposal, assuming you've got one. As to high school students, I would suggest contacting, let's see, my kids have been out of school for a while, but it used to be called GOAL, GOAL.
That's the gifted program, right?
Gifted opportunities for advanced learners.
Mhm.
And I don't know if the lady that you mentioned there, Jan Ellen, she might be, she should at least know who would know the people who would be, or the teachers who would be involved in that.
There used to be a head teacher that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
over the entire gold program,
so-
and I have no, my kids are long gone
Yeah, like I
too,
said, my
so,
kids graduated in 2012, so.
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
totally-
We
You know,
can
that-
definitely
well.
look into that.
But I'm thinking that'd be a great thing for, I'm almost certain there is an app that says, okay, focus on this one building and tell me how good the roof is. You know, if you were, bring up a site and click there, so how would this work? So if you could do that and, cross-reference the owners of that property, for example, I can just mentally driving up and down Perry Highway between Cumberland and the Ross line. There's about 20 buildings or 20 businesses in there.
yeah.
Somebody along there, that Zima Pharmacy, the car wash, CCAC, there's a bank in there.
CCAC has.
They have
Actually
panels.
have a new.
Yeah,
set-
the new
setup, yeah.
sheets, the old sheets.
Yeah,
And
they have a Google Solar project and
yeah.
you can look up your roof and it kind of gives you at least a rough
I think we're
idea.
talking the same thing.
Yeah, what that, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
so that's where the,
right. Yeah, good suggestion.
okay, so those are things they thought of at the meeting. One of the reason I came is I'm thinking about applying for this.
Yeah.
At sometime in the
Okay.
future. So I know you just filled a position,
Mhm.
but I consider do that. I'm a couple of years from retirement, but I'm still working. But my background is public transportation and cycling. So I have a car, but my motto is anything but the car. How do you get around McCandless without using a car? Have fun.
Yeah,
So
not easy.
therein lies where I'm going to say 15, 20 years out. How do you get to Nash? How do you get to schools, churches, whatever, without driving a car there? And whether you use the actual roads, I mean, I bicycle on McKnight Road, who does that? But how do you do that? How do you commute by bus various places? And I've been part of Port Authority's Citizens Advisory Board for 30 years. The Allegheny County Transit Council. It joined actually about 30 years right now, September 1992. So yeah, ask me about buses. And we used to have a lot more bus routes than we do now, but theoretically we could get some of them back, I suppose. Anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself and say that I'm interested in coming to a few more of these. Oh, and the other thing is connections bicycling from McCandless into Ross. I was previously a member of the Walk Bike Ross Committee. And I was
Yes,
the top
Jack,
member
this
of
is
that.
what that,
Yeah, I know.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so
Do you have that? I asked Jeremy Schaefer, he was
Yes,
down here.
Jeremy Schaefer was the
yeah,
one.
I just talked a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Do you have a copy of that you could get me?
Not anymore. I'm no longer, they changed the rules there and they only allowed Ross residents to be on that committee anymore. But
Okay.
yeah, back
Jeremy
when they-
Schaefer's supposed to get me a copy. We've got a big process working right now. We're trying to build a trail that'll go from the bottom of McCandless all the way up to Pine Township.
Mhm.
And also it'll come out here and over into North Park.
Okay,
So, and
Yeah,
it's,
I
it's,
haven't been
it's
to
not
those
a
meetings
whole
in
lot,
years,
there's
but-
not a lot of missing links. It's
Yeah.
not as overwhelming as I think people think it is.
when I was on the committee for Ross, I identified 12 potential or actual places that you can connect from McCandless into Ross by a bicycle. Some of them are public roads, some are actual trails, some are potential trails. I mean, you have to deal with property owners on both
Well,
sides.
maybe you two need to
But,
have a conversation.
Yeah.
So.
I'll give you my
we
card.
should talk.
Yeah,
Okay,
happy to chat with you.
yeah, very good. All right, I'll yield the floor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
I was watching the CCAC, but you already know about that. I was late, so I missed that. So my name is Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Coomer Road, Allison Park, 15101. So I'm here about bird migration tonight. And I do have a paper for you, but first, if you can see this, this is a map that's put out by Birdcast. And it's lovely in color, but I just did black and white.
What, I'm sorry,
Birdcast.
birdcast.
And the lighter is, they put this out every day during migration season. And the lightest place is where the most heaviest, for the highest numbers of bird migration is. And so this was from Tuesday night, and it's pretty close to Western Pennsylvania. So, and you can put in and see like what they predict the birds are for each night. It's based on 23 years of modeling using weather data. And Cornell and the Colorado State University do the modeling now. It was originally funded by National Science Foundation, and now it's funded by private foundations. So the trick with the bird migration is that just like the turtles, when you go to the beach, that it confuses the turtles if there are a lot of lights. The same thing happens with the birds. And I first found about this when there was a volunteer. And what he did was he went around PPG in the morning during migration season, because the PPG building downtown is a really not good for birds. And so he collects the birds and takes them to the museum for study. So it's nice there for study, but it would be nice if they were killed to
alive.
begin with. So in the last year, the downtown businesses, BOMA, I'm not sure what that abbreviation stands for, but it's the collection of building owners downtown, BNY Mellon. They've joined together for Lights Out Pittsburgh, promoting that the downtown buildings, turn off unnecessary outdoor lights. And if you have a window that's not covered, to cover the window or to turn off the light. So I have this paper with the website links for people. I'm not sure how to get to people online, but if there's some way to get something to the people online, thank you so much. And I have the website links for both the Birdcast and just for the Birdcast. No. And then the building downtown is on the other side.
Now, isn't the city of Pittsburgh actually working, they're working on a lower light ordinance, aren't they?
Correct. Yes,
To
yes.
try and help with this.
Since you've mentioned that, and I did hear you say you were on the zoning commit, the task force.
The task force, yes.
And I meant to look at the councilman who has a plaque back there. I believe he worked on dark sky or lights for McCandless Crossing. And you can tell when you're at McCandless Crossing, the way those lights are, that they're facing down.
Okay,
As opposed to many other of the lights within the community that are just lighting the sky and aren't doing anything. So that would be a wonderful thing to consider with the zoning task force.
Do you
would
know that you can go on with our new zoning in Zaldo, that they're now working on signage?
Yes, I
Your
saw
your
that.
help in
I did that.
communicating your information there would be helpful.
Yes, and I will probably be at the next town
Good.
council meeting saying that because the website has gotten much better at showing things, but when you're talking about signage, we should also be talking about dark sky, like having that survey without necessarily connecting to the dark skies.
So maybe you should give,
How should I phrase that?
I'm gonna recommend you call RJ Susko.
Okay,
She's with the town and she's heading this whole Zaldo thing up. Maybe have that conversation. Maybe she can add something to the website post haste.
Yeah, there
'Cause-
wasn't anything there about how big signs are, how they're lit up.
Right.
Are they neon? Are they flashing? Anything like that.
Yeah.
So I made that comment also. I made the comment that there wasn't a place to put comments in the survey.
that's a very.
That was a separate complaint.
Complaint or comment?
Yeah. that
Yeah, that's good. That's
Ms.
good.
Wright, I'd be happy to work with you on putting together some social media posts for our town social media channels to help spread the word. If you could maybe share your email with our chairwoman before you
Yeah.
leave, and then I'd be happy to get in contact with you, if that's okay.
Could I phone? I'm not really technological.
Sure. Just,
Okay.
yeah, if you won't mind leaving your contact with Judy.
Okay, I'll do that. I would
So
be
that we don't have to
happy
do it on the recording here where you publicize.
Right, and I can give you Dawn's contact information as well.
Thank you,
Thank you
Judy.
so much. You know what? That was my next bullet point. I was going to ask if we could publicize it through social.
Would
media.
love to.
So thank you so much. So
Okay, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right,
Um,
thank you again for the public comments. It's been a while since COVID really have anyone attend our meetings and to come and have the input and sit through a long meeting. They're not normally this long, but thank you for your
Yeah,
patience and
thank you.
thank you for your presentations.
This might be a silly question, but it says turn off unnecessary indoor and exterior lighting from midnight to 6 a.m. Is there a reason that that's the?
It's when birds are migrating.
the other side talks about. us.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So what?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know, I would imagine it would be dusk till dawn or something, but I guess, yeah, I didn't know if there was some reason for that time frame or whatever. Yeah.
At daylight hours, they're feeding and things, and then at night is when they actually migrate.
Okay. So between dusk and midnight, they're not moving, or I don't know, maybe it's.
I don't know.
When do they sleep?
Yeah,
Or maybe there is normally other ambient light or something. that they
Yeah, I
really
think-
Don't go until midnight.
I
don't
think
know.
during daylight, like obviously building lights aren't distracting to the birds, but once it's nighttime, they are.
Most of them are
Yeah,
doing
right, right.
geomagnetic anyway.
Well, Wow,
All right.
jam-packed meeting tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you for everyone's hard work and all the information. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make
We
that
have a
motion.
motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Good job, Judy. That was a lot.